And I'm going first with daily flow, like how things work on an average day on the expedition. So on an average day, Nina and Darren would wake us up usually before 6. And we'd have 15 minutes to get up and out of bed and pull our possessions outside on our sleeping mats with all our clothing, which were in stuff sacks, like squeezed down with all the air out, twist it up, and then stuff down so no water could get into them. And then once they started the 15-minute timer for us to get out of bed, we'd have 3 hours to take down all of camp and cook breakfast and stuff. Basically be ready to leave, like get in the canoes and leave in 3 hours. Then after that, we'd usually paddle and portage for about, well, we usually leave camp by like 9 or 10. So we'd paddle for like 4 or 5 hours until like where we were hungry, usually around like 12 or 1:30, sometimes later. And then we'd stop on an island of like, that was okay with me and Darren and our group, and we'd eat lunch. Then we'd usually paddle and portage for like another 4 or 5 hours until we got to our camp that we wanted to stay at for the night. And then we'd have 3 hours to set up camp completely and cook dinner. And then after dinner, we'd go to sleep. We'd have evening meeting, which is like, Jordan will explain it. It's like a summary of the day kind of, and then we'd all get in our tents and go to sleep. Is there any questions?
What did you have for lunch?
Usually it was, like, there was like 4 things that you had to pick out of the bag because we pick what we had for lunch. There was like a vehicle, which is like pita bread, so like just like a substance you like put things on. Then there was like a rider, which was like sometimes hummus or peanut butter and jelly, stuff like that. And I forget the other 2. Oh yeah, then the other one was a fruit, and the other one was a nut. Yeah, so we'd have like apples and nuts.
Was that a neat experience for you to even have a change in your menu from what you're used to living out in the world away from the wilderness, or?
Yeah, in some ways, but like it was a lot smaller portions, and you couldn't just eat as much as you want. You just have to wait for the whole group to be ready to have seconds, and then it was usually like a lot smaller than the first time. So it wasn't like you can just go to your cabinet at your house and just grab whatever you want and eat it until you're stuffed. It was like definitely a lot smaller amount of food than usual.
Did you feel like it was sufficient enough? You didn't go hungry, right?
Yeah, I kind of, in like a way, I think it was probably better because it was more like protein full and stuff like that, and it was like less filling. So afterwards, you weren't like tired and just didn't want to do anything. You could like grew like really craving it, and then it just felt kind of like in the spot, but didn't completely fill you up.
It gave you energy at the same time.
What about the cheese? Tell us about the cheese.
Oh, the cheese was always pretty moldy.
Yeah.
You'd have to cut the mold off, but we'd always eat it.
Same cheese for 3 weeks straight, huh?
No, we had a selection. It was pepper jack and cheddar.
Yeah.
There's no selection of moldy cheese to pick from.
So what did you guys cook over the fire?
Like sometimes we'd have meals that were just, well, that one was called a flapper, and it was just like, I know, I'm just saying, we'd have like, there was like 1 or 2 meals that we usually never cooked on, well, we didn't cook on fires, but basically everything else, like macaroni and cheese, like beans and rice, and basically everything we ate was like dehydrated. So we didn't have milk, we had like milk powder. We had to like mix in water. It's pretty gross.
And you didn't eat anything off the trail? Nothing that you found? I mean, frogs or raspberries? Blueberries. No ants or anything like that?
I wasn't Survivor.
Yeah, Jordan, show your legs. How are the bugs?
Oh, yes. It was really bad.
Yeah, man.
This is really good right now.
Mosquitoes were like everybody's like
Mosquitoes
top
Jordan the
concern.
best.
Yeah.
He always had his bug net on like the middle of the day on the lake when there's no bugs.
Yeah.
Good precautions, trust me.
And like at dinner, like a lot of times we'd be really starving and wanting seconds, but there was just so many mosquitoes like in your face, like getting in your mouth. You're just like, I just want to get out of here as soon as possible.
What did you look forward to each day?
Going to sleep.
Besides sleeping and eating, what were your favorite things to do?
I can't
Just
say
like
that.
those moments where we like go lay down for like 2 seconds.
But what about the what about the canoeing? Was that area like this?
We'll explain that.
Yeah, that's a
Your
weird
son will
joke.
explain that.
Oh, very nice.
But it was very tiring, and like a lot of people had never done that kind of stuff before. It was like a completely new thing that you're doing. Like your whole day was basically based on.
You go fishing?
What?
You fishing?
No.
No fishing?
I tried.
Jordan found a pole in Canada and tried to.
Canadian fish bowl didn't
We like collected bait the whole trip. And then he finally got some stuff and he lost the fishing pole.
For sharing.
Probably about 5 more questions.
How many of you guys before this trip had like canoed and camped and
I have.
had that kind of experience?
I like drinking water that wasn't city water.
Some of it was okay, but some of it was horrible.
Because that's a
It's
whole
like-
different flavor when you
Some
gotta.
days you get like a good like,
Mhm.
some days you get like,
Some
It's
days you're like,
so
"Oh, I
sick.
can drink this."
It sucks at night when you can't see the water though, so like you don't know what you're getting, and
Yeah,
you
so
can barely
the
use
shore-
that head, then
and
it's
you
like,
get
oh, it's a little
yeah, and then you get like water off the shore, and then it like tastes fine in the morning. You like look and
Look at
it's
it.
like half dirt.
Yeah.
Or when you can't get the water because you just poured it, and like all the dirt gets up in the water, so like
Yeah,
you fill
that's
your water
bad.
bottle, it's just like, can't drink this.
And like you have to wait a half an hour after you put the drops in it, so you don't like get Giardia or whatever. and, like,
Giardia.
crap out your intestines.
That's the technical word.
And I think up next is Kai with the jogs.